Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're doing something a bit different. We aren't just looking at health or wellness in the traditional sense. We are going to uncover the invisible biological forces that are actively shaping your sleep, your stress, and honestly, your overall longevity. I want you to imagine for a second that your body has a hidden operating system. Think of it like a master control panel that governs your energy, your emotions, and even how your cells age. Now, what if you could actually learn its programming language? Well, let's dive into the biological operating system.
So think about this. What if you could hack your autonomic nervous system using nothing but sound? We usually think of sound or music as just entertainment, right? Or maybe a relaxation tool. But what if it's actually a hidden user interface to the human body? If we start treating every single habit as a signal and every biological process as a mystery just waiting to be decoded, we start to realize something pretty profound. Our nervous system is constantly being programmed or hacked by the invisible frequencies in our environment.
Part 1. The Origin of Synchronization and the Evolution of the Fetal Beat.
It turns out, the human brain is an electrical system that is absolutely desperate for rhythm. And this is a trait that is engineered into us way before we're even born. Professor Val Danilo's research reveals this fascinating hidden mechanism. The maternal heartbeat, along with the mother's electromagnetic field, physically teaches the fetal nervous system how to synchronize. So the mother's rhythmic biology is literally our very first metronome. It establishes the absolute roots of human cognition and our emotional responses. We are, quite literally, born out of biological synchronization.
But you know, the consequence of losing that rhythm is incredibly severe. Back in 1988, researchers Leon Glass and Michael Mackay made a massive discovery. They found that when our internal oscillators, our internal biological rhythms fall out of sync, it creates this state of internal chaos that they actually coined dynamic diseases. So a disruption in our internal synchronization doesn't just make you feel a bit tired. It is a direct mechanical pathway to physical disease.
Part 2. The frequency following response. The back door to the brain.
Okay, so if falling out of sync causes disease, how do we get back in sync? Well, we do it through a modern scientific revelation called the frequency following response. Here's how this hidden mechanism works. When the brain hears two mismatched tones, like what you'd experience with binaural beats, or if it sees a pulsing light, it doesn't just passively process that information. It actively tries to reconcile the difference, and in doing so, it forces your cerebral cortex to synchronize to that exact external frequency. You're quite literally tuning your brainwaves just like a radio dial.
But here's the catch. Your brain actually has a firewall. The logical prefrontal cortex actively resists this entrainment. It acts as this high-impedance barrier just to keep you alert. That's exactly why you can't just force yourself to fall asleep when you're super stressed out, right? To actually entrain the brain successfully, especially if you want deep relaxation, you have to bypass that prefrontal firewall. You do that through passive relaxation, which allows those frequencies to sneak in through the temporal parietal axis.
Part 3. Decoding the brainwave code. Let's look at the menu of the operating system.
Once we bypass that firewall, we finally get access to the code itself. Think of this as your biological cheat sheet. These are the specific measurable frequencies that totally dictate our biological reality. Down in the delta band, right between 0.5 and 4 Hz, our biology triggers deep sleep, cellular healing, and the release of human growth hormone. Shift things up to alpha, around 8 to 12 Hz, and your system enters this state of alert, calm focus. Push it even further into gamma, from 30 up to 100 Hz, and you unlock peak flow and complex memory binding. We aren't just changing a mood here, we are literally dictating our biological output.
Now, a quick word of caution here. What actually happens if you try to hack this system incorrectly? Researchers call this the cognitive jamming hypothesis. See, if you force your brain into one single rigid frequency while you're trying to execute a complex task, like learning a new skill or doing some logical deduction, you can actually totally hinder your performance. High-level learning requires rapid, multi-frequency network shifts in the brain. Basically, you can't force the brain to play a single note when it really needs to orchestrate a full symphony.
Part 4. The autonomic hijack and shifting the nervous system.
When we use this correctly, the implications are just staggering. Brainwave synchronization physically commands the rest of the body. This is where behavior profoundly influences biology. Just consider the sympathetic attractor state. This is your high beta chaos, high cortisol, chronic fight-or-flight mode. Sadly, it's the baseline for a lot of modern anxiety. But through low-frequency entrainment in those theta and delta ranges we talked about, you can mechanically override this chaos. You can literally force the brain into parasympathetic dominance.
That's the rest and digest state, where true deep recovery actually happens.
And the clinical data proves this isn't just some placebo effect. Listening to structured frequencies results in undeniable, measurable physiological markers. We're talking significant drops in systemic cortisol, actual reductions in blood pressure, stabilized LF/HF ratios, and massive increases in heart rate variability, or HRV. We can buffer our endocrine system and massively boost our vagal flexibility simply by altering the acoustic environment around us.
These physical resets are incredibly dramatic. Studies have shown that older adults, and even folks struggling with clinical depression, experienced significant, highly measurable increases in their heart rate variability after alpha 10 Hz and theta 6 Hz entrainment. Their bodies physically shifted out of chronic stress and right into a state of physiological resilience, and it was powered entirely by structured sound.
Part 5. The 40 Hz Miracle and Clearing the Brain.
Okay, what we are about to look at right now completely changes the future of medicine. 40 Hz. It is a very specific frequency right in the gamma band, and neuroscientists have discovered something mind-blowing. This exact frequency seems to be the literal mechanical language that the brain uses to clean itself.
Let me explain. In these truly groundbreaking studies out of MIT, researchers found that exposing Alzheimer's model mice to 40 Hz stroboscopic light and auditory tones triggered their brainwaves to synchronize. And this synchronization did something amazing. It activated microglia, which are basically the brain's immune cells, to physically sweep away toxic amyloid beta plaques. Think about that. Science is literally using light and sound to clear the physical pathology of aging directly from the brain.
Part 6. The Multisensory Future and Audio-Visual Vibrotactile Therapy.
This revelation is rapidly pushing science out of isolated lab studies and into a multisensory future. We call it Audio-Visual Vibrotactile Therapy, or AVV. Here's how it works. Step 1. Auditory tones sync up the brain's cortex. Step 2. Light flicker drives specific oscillations, like gamma for that deep clearance or alpha for relaxation. Step 3. Physical vibroacoustic stimulation directly engages the vagus nerve down in the body. So by combining sound, light, and physical vibration, you create this inescapable feedback loop of calm that your nervous system simply cannot ignore.
The emotional impact of this is absolutely life-altering. There was a combat veteran undergoing AVV therapy for PTSD, and he described the experience like this: "The first time my body remembered how to feel completely relaxed." By providing multisensory vibrational safety, this technology gives a severely traumatized brain the exact physical signal it desperately needs to finally exit that state of chronic hyperarousal.
And we are seeing this hidden manual for the human body being rapidly deployed everywhere now. Corporate wellness programs are using relaxation pods to curb employee burnout. Dentists are actually using binaural beats to lower patient anxiety and drop their pulse rates before procedures. Sleep clinics are treating insomnia using 8 Hz whole-body vibration. It is a completely non-pharmacological intervention, and it leverages our absolute deepest biological wiring.
So I'll leave you with this thought. If our nervous system is constantly listening, constantly adapting, and always synchronizing to the rhythms of our environment, what invisible frequencies are programming your operating system right now? Are they driving you toward chaos and chronic stress? Or are you actively choosing the frequencies that promote healing, resilience, and longevity? It really is time to take control of your biological code.